Welcome, students and scholars. In the previous ASC 105 lesson, we understood what GAAP really means and why GAAP authority matters. Now we move to the next practical skill, how to find GAAP answers with discipline. Knowing that the FASB codification is authoritative is only the first step. A professional accountant must also know how to navigate that authority, define the accounting issue, search the right guidance, and evaluate the result carefully. This video is about the codification research method. By the end of this lesson, you should understand three core actions: know the structure, define the issue, and evaluate the guidance before reaching a reporting conclusion. The codification exists because accounting research needs an organized system. Before the codification, authoritative accounting guidance was spread across many historical pronouncements, standards, interpretations, and related materials. That made research more difficult and sometimes confusing. The codification brings authoritative US GAAP for non governmental entities into one searchable structure. It is not designed merely for passive reading. It is designed for professional research, where an accountant starts with a business question and then moves toward an authoritative answer. Its consistent structure makes the process repeatable, so accountants are not reinventing the research method every time they face a new issue. Every ASC reference works like an address. The first part points to the broad topic, the second part narrows the issue to a subtopic. The third part tells us the type of guidance, such as scope, recognition, measurement, presentation, or disclosure. The final part points to the specific paragraph. So when you see an ASC citation in the format XXX-YY-ZZ-PP, do not treat it as a random code. Read it as a navigation path. Each segment takes you from a large accounting area to a more precise location. This is why understanding the address structure saves time and improves research discipline. The topic and subtopic levels help the accountant move from a broad accounting area to a focused issue. A topic identifies the major subject area, such as revenue, leases, financial instruments, liabilities, or equity. A subtopic narrows that subject into a more specific scope. In many areas, the overall subtopic, usually marked with the number 10, contains broad or general guidance for that topic. This is often a natural starting point before moving into more specialized subtopics. The key lesson is simple: do not jump into random paragraphs. First, identify the accounting family, then narrow the issue through the correct subtopic. Sections tell the researcher what kind of answer to expect. A scope section helps determine whether the guidance applies to the transaction or entity. A recognition section helps determine when an item should be recorded in the financial statements. A measurement section tells how the item should be quantified. Presentation guidance deals with where and how information appears on the face of the statements. Disclosure guidance deals with what must be communicated in the notes. Implementation guidance may provide examples or application support. In practice, this structure helps accountants avoid reading everything blindly. The section number directs attention to the type of question being answered. Accounting Standards Updates, or ASUs, are how new guidance enters the codification. When the FASB issues an ASU, it may address a new issue, improve existing guidance, or clarify practice. But once the update becomes effective and is incorporated into the codification, researchers normally rely on the codification itself as the authoritative source. The effective date is very important because guidance may become applicable at different times for different entities. A public company and a private company may not always apply new guidance on the same date. So, a disciplined researcher checks not only what the guidance says, but also whether it is effective for the reporting period and entity type. Sources need ranking because authority comes before convenience. A professional researcher should not begin with the easiest online explanation, a textbook summary, or a practice guide and then stop there. The starting point is authoritative GAAP. If no direct guidance exists, the researcher may consider similar authoritative guidance for transactions with comparable economics. Only after that should other sources be considered carefully. Non authoritative sources may help background understanding, but they do not override the codification. This ranking protects the quality of the conclusion. It also prevents a common mistake, selecting a treatment because it is convenient rather than because it is supported by authoritative guidance. Good research starts with facts. Before opening the codification, the accountant must understand what actually happened. What did the entity give? What did it receive? What did it promise? What are the contractual terms? After that, the accountant must identify the accounting issue precisely. Is this a recognition question, a measurement question, a presentation question, or a disclosure question? This framing matters because a weak question leads to weak research. The accountant should also separate GAAP questions from audit, tax, legal, or business structuring questions. GAAP research answers how to account for a transaction. It does not answer every professional question connected with that transaction. The research process is iterative. First, choose precise accounting search terms. Broad or casual language may produce irrelevant results. Next, identify potentially relevant guidance and check the scope section before applying anything. Then compare possible alternatives, especially when more than one topic could appear relevant. After that, evaluate the alternatives against the facts and the economic substance of the transaction. Finally, document the conclusion and cite the authoritative support. Sometimes the first search will be too broad, too narrow, or incomplete. That is normal. Good research often loops back. The goal is not just to find an answer quickly, but to reach a conclusion that is defensible. Let us apply this with a simple research example. Brightlane Analytics receives a $60,000 cash payment from a customer on January 15th, but the contracted data analytics service will not be delivered until March 31st. Before searching randomly, the researcher should classify the issue. Is it immediate revenue? Is it a liability because performance is still owed? Is there any disclosure question? Since the customer paid before the service was completed, there is still an obligation to perform. That means the issue should be framed around revenue timing and contract liability guidance, not simply cash receipt. Once the question is framed correctly, the codification search becomes much more efficient. In this lesson, we learned that GAAP research is a disciplined process. The codification gives accountants a structured address system. Topics, subtopics, sections, and paragraphs help locate guidance. ASUs update the codification, but effective dates matter. Authoritative GAAP comes before convenient secondary sources. Most importantly, good research starts with clear facts and a precise accounting question. In the next video, we will move from research mechanics to professional judgment by studying materiality and the conceptual framework. If this lesson was useful, please like the video, share it with your colleagues who are learning US GAAP, and subscribe to Commerce Regiment for the next lesson.